Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with last week's reviews. I've been missing in action a couple weeks. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's just been, so what has happened is my regular 9-to-5 job, that pays the bills and stuff. I love doing this, but this ain't paying no bills. The other person on the night shift with me, Wendy, she's out on medical leave, and then all of a sudden it got super busy. It's been crazy busy at work, and it just really I really haven't had time to even barely even read books, let alone do reviews. And on the weekends I've just I've had stuff already planned. It's crazy, and so that's kind of what happened. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to do the number ones from the past couple weeks. We'll get those out of the way, and then we'll slowly I'll feed in the other stuff, like this week's books. I'll feed in some of last week's and the last couple weeks books. We'll feed those in. So if I'm missing anything today, don't worry. I will do catch up. I have a list of stuff that needs to get reviewed. So but before I get started, really quick, I wanted to point out the last week, or the last couple of weeks, Pulp Fiction, my comics in Long Beach, my comic shop, has had some signings. There was Stand Still by Lee Lilridge and Andrew Robinson were at the store, and the same day Adam Rose was at the store for Huge Detective. And the really cool thing is the artist who lives outside the U.S. Drew these little kind of cards, so if you bought him and you went and seen Adam, you got Magenta King is the artist on the book, did these little sketch cards, and you got one for free, which was really awesome. So and then that was one, and then as you can see, I have Transformers and Martian Manhunter, and you say, why do I have those? Because the store had Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo there. Now, I had met Daniel a couple or three times at convention stuff. Super amazing person. Will sign all your stuff. He's just really, not only a great talent, but a really great person. But for me, I was very excited about meeting Riley Rossmo. I'm a really big fan of his artwork. So it was really great to meet him. It was a packed night. They were only there for a couple hours, but they signed a ton of stuff. So I got all my stuff signed by them, including I was very excited about Riley Rossmo, and he signed my Sandmans, and what he did on some of them, and I will try to get a close up. Here we go. Yeah, he drew a little Sandman on there, which was really, really nice. And like I said, it was really nice talking to both of them. Like I said, I spent a little more time with Riley Rossmo, who is just, once again, amazing talent, and you'll see in this week's books why he is. So anyways, thanks to Ryan and the gang. I actually helped on the signing with Daniel and Riley because it was super busy, and I just like to help. Kind of helping, put back into the shop that gives me so much. So, with that out of the way, we're going to get to the number ones right now. So, like I said, this is going to be a little shorter, this one, and then we'll, kind of do some more catch up. First up, we have The Moon is Following Us, number one, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, with artwork by Riley Rossmo and Daniel Warren Johnson. So what the basic story is Sam and Duncan Lamar, have to go into this like fantasy world and rescue their daughter Penny, who has been taken by Cascade, the villain. And so what it is, it's kind of like they put on these electronics to go into this world, and they also have to be careful in the world, because if they get injured in the world, they have to kind of come back. Not that they're so much injured in the real world, but if they die in that fantasy world, they could die, because they have these machines they hook up. And so so that's kind of, so while they're there, they hook up with other characters that they've met, wizards and stuff like that are trying to help them find Penny. And it's really a fascinating story. I think it's really, fantasy's kind of hard to do, and Johnson and Rossmo have really nailed this, because there's kind of science fiction-y, then there's the whole thing, kind of a little Matrix, kind of thrown into there too. And it's just really quite fascinating. And now, when they go into the fantasy world, that's where Riley Rossmo does the artwork. And then when it's the real world, Daniel Warren Johnson does the real world artwork. So there's times on the same page there'll be artwork by Riley, and then there'll also be some artwork by Daniel. And even though their styles are very different, it actually really is kind of a genius idea to do it this way, because you really can see the difference between like the real world and fantasy world. But like I said, the big thing for me is my hope is that people finally discover how great Riley Rossmo is. I mean, if you haven't read The Martian Manhunter or Wesley Dodd Sandman, I really recommend those books. I'm a really big fan of both those books. You can discover, Riley's done a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of stuff at DC, but not really, kind of the big guns books. But and then of course a lot of people are going to pick this up for Daniel Warren Johnson because he's just like a superstar at this point. And I really enjoyed this first issue. There was definitely exposition, but they really set things up, not only in the fantasy world, but kind of what's going on in story and Penny and all that kind of stuff. I love this book to death. It was really amazing. And you can also see Riley was really nice, and he drew like one of the characters, this little frog right there. It was really great to meet them, and really, because I had fortunately I was able to read the book before I met them, so that was really great. But I really recommend this book. I really liked it a lot. I know that the first printing is sold out. They're already going back to press, so obviously it's selling really well. So definitely pick that up from your local comic shop. Next up, we have Avengers Assemble #1, written by Steve Orlando, with pencils by Corey Smith and inks by Oren Jr. with Elisabetta D'Amico doing inks. So basically what it is this team of Avengers is kind of an emergency response team post the vampire invasion, and the main team is Captain America, Wasp, Photon, and Shang-Chi. There's also others. Hawkeye's there. He's hanging out at the Avengers headquarters waiting for more people to show up. And basically it's just, kind of there's a big fight scene. Cap and the team go out. Oh, we gotta fight and, beat up villains and stuff. And, there's really not much of a huge story there. I think there were things I liked about it, but ultimately it just kind of felt, flat for me. It's not that it's bad. I think the one thing I did have a problem with is it seems like there's times where Orlando there's just too much dialogue going on. It's like, dude, you don't need to explain everything. The artwork by Smith is fine. It's nothing fancy. Gets the job done. I think the thing is, it was just kind of there. It didn't really, go beyond like, oh, here's the Avengers, they're going out and fighting. Oh, we're going to get a team together. And that's basically what the first issue is. And it just, it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just, kind of sits there. It's just really an average book. I think that's the big thing. I'd say skip it. There's just too many good books that are worth spending your money on, and this one just doesn't quite hold water very well. Next up, we have Time Waits #1, written by Chip Zdarsky and David Brothers, with artwork by Marcus Toe and Marvin Sinapar. So what this is so Blue and Grace, she's a deputy. He doesn't really have a job, but he's gardening. That's his big job at the house, is gardening. And so what we find out through the story is that he's actually from the future, and he's in present day, which is his past. And we find out that he's like a time jumper, and what it was is, in the future, they went to the team went to this facility to steal these special seeds. Now, one can put two and two together that maybe the gardening has something to do with these seeds. We don't know. but we find out that they're sending people from the future to get these seeds back from Blue. But we also find out that when you do time jumps, that it kind of messes you up, and he has to take medicine and stuff to kind of keep an even keel, because he's obviously not supposed to be in the past, which is our present. And so what it is people from the future come back. They kidnap his wife and their son that they want to adopt, because they kind of want to start a family. And he has to kind of spill the beans of what's going on, or some because Grace is like, what's going on here? And so he kind of has to go in. But he also, one of the things with time jumps is that he has he blacks out. And because your body's not used to doing time jumps. So it's really an interesting setup. Zdarsky and Brothers, like I said, the one thing I really liked about this book is they take the time to set the characters up. You get to know the characters, then you introduce the whole time jumping and all that kind of stuff, and it kind of jumps back and forth from the initial trying to get the seeds to the present day, our present day. And just, building the characters up and everything, so that way when these people from the future try to come back to get the seeds and, Blue, you know them, so you kind of go, you're like, oh, this is messed up, and I like Blue and Grace. And Toe and Sanapar, I would assume that one of them, it looks like one of them's doing the present day past and the other one's doing the future artwork, so that actually works pretty well, because their styles are not hugely different, but you can definitely tell there's a little bit of difference between the artwork, which kind of actually works pretty well when you're doing two stories kind of at the same time. It's a really smart move to have two artists working on it. I like this. This is another win for Distillery. They're doing a great job, so definitely well worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Wolverine #1, written by Saladin Ahmed, with artwork by Martin Kokolo. So, this is a basic Wolverine story, and what it is the post-Krakoa, Logan's kind of out in the Canadian wilderness, running with a pack of wolves, trying to get back to himself, I guess. And so Nightcrawler is coming to find him, but also Cyber is looking for him too, for revenge, because apparently Wolverine poked one of his eyes out and he's pissed about that. So basically Cyber comes there, and then there's obviously going to be another villain, kind of looking for Logan, and it's kind of Logan, and Nightcrawler together. Look, it's a Wolverine story. It kind of hits all the beats. I wouldn't say that this was mind-numbingly brilliant. It was actually fine. I think the big win for the book is Kokolio's artwork. It's really good looking, and Ahmed's story is fine. It's just that it wasn't anything really different, which can be a catch-22. People are looking for a Wolverine book. It's a solid Wolverine book, but for me, it didn't really bring a lot of new to the table. It was like, okay, this is nice. This is a Wolverine. Here's a Wolverine story, and it kind of does all the check marks. And in that respect, it just didn't really entice me, and beyond okay, this is a Wolverine story. There wasn't anything that oh, this is really different. Not bad, just not very different. So it's kind of if you're looking for a Wolverine story, this will definitely fit the bill, and it's well done for what it is. I just wasn't, I wanted something different, and and that's for me. But you may just want a good Wolverine story, and it's a decent Wolverine story with good artwork. So I think it's worth checking out if you're looking for Wolverine, or you're a new comic reader. This is definitely a good jumping on point for a book. Next up, we have Multiversus Collision Detected #1, written by Brian Q. Miller, with artwork by John Simvera. So what this is it's not really an adaptation. There's a Multiversus game. It's all the Warner Brothers characters kind of thrown into one, which includes all the Warner Brothers characters and all the DC characters. But this comic is kind of how they all got together. This is the story of how they all got together. So what it is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are having these dreams, strange dreams, and they're symbols and stuff. And we find out that those symbols, or one of those symbols, is actually Bugs Bunny. And then they get transported to this other world where, obviously this world is where the game takes place, where all these characters are going to meet each other. It was an okay. It's a product comic. They're tying into the game. It was fine. It just wasn't anything spectacular. I think it's a decent all ages comics in that respect. The main reason I bought it was for the Riley Rossmo cover, which was amazing. And he even drew like a little Bugs Bunny on it. You can see that there. But ultimately it's not something, for me. But like I said, it's a decent all ages comics. Miller's script is fine. Samara's artwork is, does a good job of both the superheroes, and then, when Bugs Bunny shows up, he looks like Bugs Bunny. I don't think this is going to blow any air up most people's skirt, but, if you're a fan of the game, it's kind of like the origin story of how the game came about. That's the basic premise I got from this first issue. This is okay, but like I said, if you have somebody, maybe a younger reader, that might enjoy the game or stuff, it's worth checking out for that. But I think for most people, it's okay. Next up, we have Dazzler #1, written by Jason Liu, with artwork by Rafael Liero. So what this is post Krakoa, Dazzler's going on her world tour to promote her album, and so what it is so part of her crew is Multiple Man, Jamie, Strong Guy, and then Domino is actually her head of security, and her band is, all the band members are mutants. And so once again, her agent's saying, you need to downplay the mutant stuff, and and then while she's singing a song, a villain comes and attacks her, some scorpion lady, and she her don't use your powers, try to blend in. It was okay. It was like an okay story. Ladero's artwork is nice, but it was just like it really wasn't for me super compelling. It was like one of those, after you read it, you're like, that was nice and everything, but like I said, the artwork is actually good. Lou's story's decent, but not anything that like oh my god, I gotta read the second issue. And I think that's where the book kind of stumbled a bit, was where it was just kind of average, not great, not terrible, just fell into the average category. And finally, we have Batman Elmer Fudd #1 Noir Edition, written by Tom King, with artwork by Lee Weeks. Now, this is a reprint. There was, when DC had done some Hanna-Barbera books, so they had done some crossovers, and then they decided to do some crossover with Warner Brothers characters. And so what it is this was one of them. And because last Saturday was Batman Day, they reprinted this for that. Now, this is not free. You do have to buy it. But the neat thing about it, you get to see Lee Weeks' artwork in its original black and white, non-colored version. And the other thing that was kind of neat is all the ads are in black and white. The whole book is in black and white. The only color is on the cover with the logos and stuff. And first of all, this story was absolutely brilliant. If you've never read it, I really recommend. Hopefully your comic shop still has a copy. Now, they did do a regular reprint with the colors, but since I already have that, I really looked for the Noir Edition. And like I said, to really see the artwork kind of in this black and white, really, because it's a very noir story, so having the artwork in black and white is really appropriate. So, but definitely well worth buying. I mean, if you've never read this, you're in for a huge treat, because it was really, really good. And I'm not going to spoil any of the plot, but it was like, at first you're like, Elmer Fudd and Batman, like, what? And it like totally makes sense, and King just knocked the story out of the park. Absolutely amazing. And then, like I said, Week's artwork was always amazing, but to kind of see it in its raw form, and especially being a noir type story, is just absolutely perfect. I mean, it would have been nice for them to do it when they initially did it, but we get the spoils of them reissuing it in this beautiful black and white version that's definitely a must buy. That's going to do it. Once again, public service announcement. As always, I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a great store. As always, you know, he's been doing a lot more signings. And then a few weeks back, there was also the voice cast of the X-Men 97 that were in the store. That was a very busy day. You know, it's a really great comic shop. I mean, the one thing that really, you know, made it great was the Felix team who was actually the agents for Daniel Warren Johnson's art and Riley Rossmo's art. They were really impressed with it. You know, it's a really good comic store. So if you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check it out. Ryan, you know, the owner, is great guy. There's Annie, there's Wendy, Derek runs their socials. Definitely, if you're in the area, definitely check it out. And as always, we end our show with be kind to each other, and be kind to yourself. Take care of yourselves. I know the world's crazy, you know, and it seems like just the bad news never ends, but, you know, taking care of yourself and being kind to other people is really important right now. Just to, you know, take care of yourself and to, you know, be kind to others. It's really important in life. So that's going to do it for kind of this week. So hopefully I'll get the new books. Everything will kind of fall back into place this week. Looks like work's not going to be as super crazy as it has been the last couple weeks. So hopefully things will kind of get back to normal. And like I said, I will try to catch up with books that, you know, we just did the number ones today. So we just got those out of the way, and then we'll kind of get back to hopefully our regular scheduled programming. Thanks for bearing with us. I know everybody was concerned. Like I said, I'm fine. It was just kind of crazy and just, you know, overwhelming to where I just didn't have time to do the reviews. So thanks for all the checking in on me and everything. That's going to do it. So hopefully we'll be back with this week, maybe later in the week. We'll see, with this week's books. And then, like I said, I'll add some of the other ones in. So this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.